What's up, Bimmer Bros? Thank you very much for joining us. Today we go over all the things wrong with the BMW E12 that we bought recently. It is not the prettiest specimen, it's not the most perfect, but you know what? I've always wanted one of these, and it's just the perfect canvas for us to do whatever we want with. Let's start with number one of what is wrong with this car. I'm sure you can see by looking at this, there's no cylinder head. So this didn't originally come taken apart like this. It actually was a complete engine. I took this apart because the rocker was broken and actually went over the damage of what happened in our previous E12, or I guess cylinder head video. It's an M30 disassembly video that you can watch by clicking up here. It just goes over the damage, but all in all, in short, it was a damaged cylinder head, so I had to remove it. And this is the number one thing that is wrong with this car. It was not timed correctly, and you can kind of see right here that the valve met the piston right there, and on the actually all of them except number two. So you see the marking there, and you can see it in there. It was just, timing was bad. Timing was all bad. So it deserved a rebuild. I cleaned it up. It's basically ready to get dropped back in. I ended up using a newer M30 cylinder head for it. This is off of a B35, but the castings look identical, and I'm sure they are identical. Only difference being, I guess the cam is what I needed to swap out because this is keyed for the distributor. Everything else seemed to be the exact same. So we're going that route. That's the only thing really wrong with the engine bay so far. I haven't tested anything else. This car has never ran in my presence, so I have no idea. But we're just gonna run with it. I'm gonna reinstall it, crank it over, see if it works. If it runs fine, that's all I really need, because in the meantime, while I restore or modify the other cars, I just want it to be drivable. If I can just take it little by little, do the suspension work, do, I don't know, a little more engine work, cool. If not, I just need to be able to move it around. It might eventually get a swap, it might not. I might keep it original with the automatic transmission and the M30. I think it's a B28. Whatever it comes to, I'll be happy in the end. That's what I'm gonna do. But anyway, let's move on. So the trim, or the molding I should say, the molding on the sides is missing, and it's okay, not the end of the world. The body is pretty straight. I want to say the body is about 80%, let's say 75. It's a lot of creasing and a lot of dents, but it's going on 40-year-old car. Not a big deal. I'm just happy that it has all the panels because it's all repairable. And more than anything, what I want to replace on this thing are these terrible US spec bumpers. They're so hideous on this car. I just can't wait to swap them out. As soon as I get my hands on a Euro set of bumpers, they're going to be replaced for sure. One of the other things wrong with it, this door doesn't open, and I think the linkage on the inside was removed. And the interior, so the interior, all the door cards are missing. Yeah, all of them. Luckily the seats are in decent shape. Like, none of them are torn, and they're very, very comfortable. Like, I'm surprised how comfortable these things are. I really like them. I'm gonna keep them. I might just clean them up a bit and make sure that they don't get any more sun damage than they already have. And yeah, I like this. I like the brown. I like the tan interior, honestly. I don't know if the E12s, at least I don't know if the E12s or the US spec E12s got a different color interior for different trims. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that I like this one. I like this a lot. So I'm gonna try to find some door cards eventually. We're missing a tack, but it's okay. Not a huge deal as long as we know. Actually, there is a tack. We don't have a speedometer. That's what it is. No speedo. So, I mean, I doubt this thing can go faster than the legal limit, so we're fine. Center console looks fine. I don't know if we're missing anything in the center itself. I'm sure we're missing a boot here. But it looks to be, you know, complete. We can redo this. I know I really been wanting to experiment with trying to remake some, I guess, veneer. That would be really cool. We're really, as you guys already know, if you haven't already been a subscriber to this channel, we like doing things ourselves. We love experimenting with new methods of how to do things, especially with like dashes and like wrapping stuff or refinishing. We're not afraid to go ahead and give it a try, and that's totally fine. There are cars. We're not really doing this for people. We do stuff like this to just see how it turns out and how we can make it our own. It's all customization, you know. We're really not showing you how to do it. We're just showing you how we're trying to do it. So let's move on. Obviously, this needs help. I actually recently did this valve cover for it. This one was, let me set it somewhere. So I did a really cool wrinkle powder coat for it. It came out really good. I'm really proud of this one. It's really solid, really clean. So I powder coated the whole thing and took one of those removal discs to it. It's almost like a spongy type of material disc to it, and it actually, I really love how this came out. I'm really stoked to put this on and clean it up. I'm gonna end up doing more powder coating to like the intake manifold because it looks really clean when it's all put together. I can already see it, like the vision is there. I want to make sure I change out all the necessary hoses. You know, a lot of this stuff is dry rotted, and a lot of it, I mean, has a little life left. You can see that the previous owner, actually the previous owner didn't have much to do with this because he told me the story of how he got the car, and I'm sure it was the owner before him. So, I mean, Kyle, if you're watching, I know this wasn't you. You explained to me about the car. Not trying to put you on blast or anything, man. Like, I know this wasn't you, but somebody did this, and somebody along the way put some really, I don't know what it was. It was like one of those stop leaks for radiators, and it gunked up a lot of the inside, and kind of like, it almost looks like corrosion. But anyway, trust me guys, I'm not going to leave this in here. This is old water, or they actually had like water in here. I don't know, but it's really nasty. I'm gonna try to get this out before we put it back together. One of the last few things, obviously the suspension is going to get redone. I like the stock wheels. We might go with a slightly bigger wheel, maybe style 5s. I know, generic, but you can't go wrong with style 5s. And I think even 15s would look beautiful on this thing. So let me give you guys a quick look of how the car looks all the way around. I mean, that's with the hood kind of slightly propped open. I'm sure you guys get the point. Like I said, it's really square. Like, the body is really good. Grille can be replaced. I don't think we can save that one. The wheels are straight. I mean, the panels are straight. This is the most problematic panel that's on it. The molding is missing on this side as well. Not a huge deal. I'm not really worried about it. Sorry, if I had the cars a little farther apart, you can get a wider view of it, but it's really straight. I don't know how many times I can say it, because I'm actually happy that it's not beat up, like more beat up. Well, that's a general overview. I think one last thing that is broken on it is the inner spline of the hub. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And of course it doesn't have a key. So previous owner explained to me what happened. he had removed the hub on his other car. He also drives the E12. Actually, Kyle has a really cool E12. I'm gonna link his video on him driving it around here, so go watch it. It's an awesome build. He has an incredible database of knowledge in his head about this car and how he's tuned it. He has a really cool turbo build. Anyway, he explained to me that this hub, you know, on this side of the car, this wheel, that wheel, it just broke off. It just broke. I don't know. I don't remember if it was on his car, but anyway, it won't move because all the power will go to the wheel with the least amount of traction, right? So it'll just spin. So we need to replace the hub, right? That shouldn't be a big deal, and we'd be able to move it. And that's the plan. I mean, we got a lot of other parts in here. Got some all the parts that go to it in here. And timing cover. You guys are curious. This is the first time I've ever seen an M30 this old, or at least been around one up close. But this is really interesting how this works. It's the timing cover with the key, like the distributor gear. This key goes into the front of the cam. So this is one big reason why I had to swap the cam out when I swapped heads. Like I said, this is a newer cylinder head. It had a newer cam on it, but as far as I'm concerned, the profile is the same. I looked at them side by side, both cams, and they looked exactly the same. So I'm, 90% sure that it's going to be fine. So, yep, because keyed there, goes into the distributor, the gear turns the distributor, and that's how you get the firing order to fire in time. So this is basically ready to go. I need to wipe down the oil feed, make sure it's not this little dirty, so I need to make sure that's nice and clean before we drop it in there. That's what we're going to do to finish off the video today. It is a shorter video today, guys, and it's kind of not our usual flavor, but let me know if you guys like this. I mean, we always like to be transparent with our cars and with what we're doing. Honestly, this week has been kind of slow for us, so we didn't get to film the content that we wanted to, but it's a good time to introduce the E12 to you guys. I hope you really do like it, because this has been one of my favorite cars that I hadn't owned, and I finally do. And I'm really happy to get it going, because there's a lot of E12s out there that just look drop dead gorgeous, that I would just love to have the opportunity to build and drive a car like that. And I'm really excited because, I don't know, for me, the older the better. And this body style from like the 70s to the late 70s to early 80s, I guess, before they brought the E28 around. And the E28 is alive and well. Don't worry, guys, I didn't get rid of it. I don't know, there's just so much to do with this car that I want to get done like ASAP, obviously, but it's never really that easy, right? We have to go, for me, I like to make sure that a car is mechanically well, inside and out, especially the suspension, because the suspension is one of those things that you don't really modify as much. I guess for me, I want to put it on coilovers, but of course the trailing arms and the control arms all have to be healthy for me to feel like I'm doing the right thing as far as modifying the car. I'm not going to go ahead and turbo it before I even before the wheels turn freely, you know what I mean? Anyway, if you feel my sentiment, if you feel the same way I do, go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you would do first on this car. Honestly, let me know what your thoughts are on this chassis. If you have one, leave a thumbs up down there, E12 fam. If you want to get one, or if you're in the middle of your own project, let me know how it's going. Honestly, this is a new platform, the M30. I am brand new. I'm learning as I'm going. It's a really big learning curve compared to like the M20, because they're slightly different, but also kind of the same, but they're just different monsters, right? They're different breeds of cars. Because once I get this one going, I'm gonna work on the E23 that's back there. Like I said, I want them all to drive. I can blabber on all day. Let's do some work on this, and then we'll finish out the video. And if you guys like it, leave a comment down below. Thanks, guys. there's not very much room, but hopefully we can get some crucial points across. So there are 4 bolts that go into the front of this sprocket. Once you have the cam, as I stated before, into top dead center position, these 2 bolts that are I guess horizontal to the head should be completely equal to the square this way. Once you square up the square onto the head, you can find a resting point where it all kind of just settles evenly, and you can see the distance between these 2 points. You could do it this way, where you kind of rest it up against the head and then try to match it up, you know, through the center, but I find it more difficult to do it that way. I'd rather rest it up on the side and then find a good flat spot that rests up against the sprocket itself and keep it completely square there. And I can tell you right now that just by looking at it through this spot right here, it needs to go clockwise, so it needs to turn, it looks like 1 tooth length this way in order for it to be equal. The general position that you see online is that this point here, I guess it's like a pin that holds the sprocket onto the flange, is in 7 o'clock position, but that's very vague. I wouldn't trust that one bit just by putting it in the 7 o'clock position, quote unquote. So let's try it this way. This is the way I've seen online as well. I just figured I'd make a video to illustrate it better for people like me out there that, you know, need to see it be done. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this to where it's just slightly more to the right without, I have to take the sprocket off, by the way, so that way it doesn't turn the crank. Alright guys, I gave it a couple turns, verified that the timing is good. You can kind of see that this is the best possible angle that I can find for you guys while it's in the car anyway. And if you square it up, the spacing here is equal to the spacing here. And I'm squared up with the side of the head here, the exhaust side, and that confirms it. I spun it a couple times, made sure that it wasn't crashing in anything, and we're good to go. Alright, Bimmer Bros, with that, we are going to call it a day. I'm really glad that we got to this point. I'm going to finish torquing down the head, and that's going to be it. Until next time, guys, thank you very much. Subscribe down below, hit the bell icon, and see you next time. Take care.